Big, strong and powerful legs are the foundation of a rugby player's performance. And no, I'm not wearing pants. They're just really short shorts. So if you wanted big, strong, powerful legs, wouldn't it make sense to train like a rugby player? So for my last leg day, I decided to do a rugby strength and conditioning session for my lower body to help build a pair of big, strong, athletic and mobile tree trunk legs. Look at them. Look at the size of them. Crazy. Woo! Woo! I've liked rugby for as long as I've been sentient. Where is it? Closest rugby ball in the house. Okay. How long have I got to travel before I find the closest rugby ball? Okay, I got it. You know where it is from? Aldi. Class. Here's a photo of me in one of the earliest rugby games I was conscious enough to remember, with my cousin Mark, who was playing for Cardiff Blues at the time. And for someone who loved rugby, why am I sat here in front of you, making a silly YouTube video instead of, you know, playing rugby? Clearly, I didn't want enough.
Swansea are 15th now.
Are they? Bluebirds. If there's any rugby strength and conditioning coaches out there watching this video, nudge nudge, wink wink, leave a comment and let me know how wrong I was in constructing this workout. So this workout is a little bit all over the place. I ended up having to cut it shorter than I would have liked just because of time constraints. I'm going to give it another go in the future where I properly dedicate myself to completing the whole session that I set out at the start. But I did it, I filmed it, and it was a cool session and it was different to what I normally do, so I thought I'd make the video out of it. And normally in these videos I like to kind of let myself at the time explain the workout, but because it was so all over the place and I've got the benefit of hindsight, I'm going to talk us through it now before we get into the actual workout. So I started this leg day off with a short warm-up circuit of pogos and side-to-side pogos, followed by depth jumps. I'll get into the benefits and functions of each movement when I actually get into each individual exercise. But for now, let me just rattle off all the other stuff I did. The first lift was heavy-ish max squats for 2 sets of 8, failing on the 8th. And that was followed by 2 sets of max effort box squats for sets of 3 reps. After that, it was time to take a trip to Romania for 2 sets of 8 Romanian deadlifts. And then 2 sets of 8 single leg extensions. Single leg extensions or single leg extensions? I don't know, you know what I mean, eh? Then to finish, I did 2 sets of single leg glute bridges and then a little circuit of 90-90 hip rotations and Copenhagen planks. Now, I'm going to let the session play fully in the background while I talk a little bit about how all these movements relate to rugby and why they'd be beneficial for a rugby player to practice. First up is pogos. And I have to apologise for how silly these look. These look absolutely ridiculous, and I've never obviously seen myself do a pogo before. Plyometrics are some of the best styles of exercises for increasing speed, getting more explosive and accelerating quickly. That's exactly what this circuit will do for rugby players. Now, I want to talk about depth jumps in particular. To perform a depth jump, all you want to do is step off any heightened object. Typically this object is a box, but in our case, it's a bench. You haven't got to jump off, you just step off. That's important to remember. You can increase difficulty in this exercise by adding more height to the object you're jumping off, holding a weight while you're doing it, or landing on one leg instead of 2. So there's a difference between a depth drop, which is the first part of the motion, and a depth jump, which is what I'm doing. A depth drop, you don't jump after it, you just drop off, absorb the impact and stand up and get back and do it again. Whereas a depth jump, you do all that and jump up as high as you can after it. And that's what I'm doing there. This is good for rugby players because in rugby there's a lot of sprinting involved, and according to simplyfaster.com, and I quote, depth jump can help improve the quality of more common repetitive vertical plyometric efforts such as hurdle hops. The depth jump is one of the best special strength exercises available for sprinters in terms of improving the magnitude of their ground reaction force, as well as providing a strong neural signal to the lower body. Athletes who need to improve acceleration qualities will do better with a higher volume of depth jump variety, while those seeking improved top-end speed will cater towards variations over hurdles as well as drop jumps. So yeah, good luck arguing with that. This is the most weight I've squatted in a long time. Next up is squats. Squats, big bad squats. Squats as a rugby player are awesome for building basic strength and size, which translates into excellent collision dominance. Doing big heavy squats also helps build maximum strength, which in turn converts to power, which you can then apply during a game when you have to drive into opponents, or through opponents. Don't drive into them, drive through them. Maybe. I'm not a strength and conditioning coach, I don't know. I shouldn't be struggling with this. I can bench this for more than 8 reps. I need an angry song to get me through this one. Six, come on. 7, 8, come on. Last one, come on. The reason then that we do box squats after regular squats are because rugby athletes need to be able to dominate collisions through momentum. And for that, you need to make sure you're lifting heavy and fast. 2 bases which we're covering here with these squats. 3. That was, in all honesty, super fine. I can go ahead there. Fuck, that's heavy. 1. 2, come on. 3, fuck me. Oh, fuck, that was heavy. Next up on the chopping block is RDLs. Now, from a rugby point of view, the main reason you do RDLs is to strengthen your hamstrings to prevent injury. Hamstring injuries are some of the most common across all of rugby. They're one of the most prevalent injuries across the whole sport. And that's coming from a sport that receives, obviously, a lot of injuries. Now, according to an article written by these 2 guys on theconversation.com, crazy name for a website, in 2019, hamstring injuries were the second most common match injury after concussion and accounted for nearly 50% of all missed training or playing days. They have been reported as the most common injury during rugby training too. So safe to say, if you can bulletproof your hamstrings, you'll be laughing. To do this, don't copy me. I'll put a video of a guy doing it much better than me because I'm really bad at RDLs. Come on. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. They like 1 peg too high, but I refuse to adjust them. Oh. Moving swiftly on to single leg extension, or single leg extension, I don't know what to call them. It's important for rugby players to stay upright, and due to high balance demands during the movement, single leg extensions increase proprioception and reduce body and muscle imbalances. Single leg exercises are additionally safer for the hips and lower back as they mimic our natural gait and athletic movements. But they are known to be more taxing on the knees, so maybe take it easier on these if you suffer from knee injuries. Like, you know who you are. Rugby athletes that also do jiu-jitsu, you know who you are. Am I even in that frame? That's fine. Woohoo!
Next is the least flattering looking exercise in this entire video. It's a single leg glute bridge. Now, this comes from rehab2perform.com. All these websites got such crazy names. And I'm paraphrasing, but they say, balance demands increase with single leg exercises, which activates stabilizing muscles, including the glutes and core. Stabilizing your muscles protects the joints during lower body exercises, but are notoriously weak since they are triggered reactively. Stabilizing muscles only fire when your body feels its center of gravity is shifting and falling over. Oh, my hamstrings are tight as hell. Next up is Copenhagen's. I know we know the rule. If it's named after a country, or a town, or a city, or whatever, it's probably bad news. Just finished RDLs, and now we're on to Copenhagen's. Anyway, next up is Copenhagen's and 1990 hip rotations. And really, these are strength and conditioning exercises for runners, not necessarily rugby athletes. You can load these, do you know what I mean? If you wanted to build proper bulletproof adductors and hip flexors, I'm sure you can find a way to load 1990 hip rotations. Obviously, rugby players do a lot of running anyway, so there's that. But hip rotations are awesome for hip mobility as well. So if you get absolutely battered by another rugby player, and you look down, you're like, oh my god, oh wait, my legs are supposed to go that way now. That's one of the many benefits of hip mobility for a rugby player. And secondly, Copenhagen's. And while yes, they're absolutely horrible, they're also really good at adduction, not abduction, adduction. And they're really good adductor builders, which basically just means the movement of the limb. There's a limb. Or other body part towards the midline of the body. That's the dictionary definition. And according to physio-pedia.com, another crazy website name, strain of the adductor muscles is the underlying cause of groin strain / adductor tendinopathy, which is among the most common sports injuries. The proximal part of the muscle is most commonly affected, tearing near the bony attachments in the pelvis. So, similar to the hamstring, and if we can bulletproof all of the areas you're most likely to get injured, then you'll be a more efficient rugby athlete, you'll be injured less, you'll be skipping training less, you'll be skipping games less, and yeah, you'll just be a more complete, well-rounded rugby athlete. I'm not a rugby athlete. I gotta reiterate that. I'm not a rugby athlete. I'm not gonna play rugby. This is just for a laugh. So, as someone who isn't a rugby athlete, how do I rate training like a rugby player? Honestly, I absolutely loved it. I much prefer training functionally rather than bodybuilder style, hypertrophy style training, especially for legs. Don't get me wrong, it's got its place. Even for rugby athletes, you gotta have some kind of body armor. There's more to life than hypertrophy for legs. And obviously there's a lot of crossover as well between the two styles of training. But the key principles are very different when you're training for rugby to hypertrophy. And if I had to give it a rating out of 10, because that's what I did ages ago, and I'm just too stubborn to not stick with it, I'd give it a 9 with a possibility to upgrade it to a 10. I love training like a rugby athlete. We need TMO to see if my legs are aching over the next couple of days, because like I said, I just did this yesterday and today they're in absolute pieces. So yeah, if I'm tucked up for a couple of days after this, I'm gonna be gutted. But anyway, once again, thank you very much for watching. I super hope you enjoyed. I know I enjoyed making this video. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe. Be nice to your mother. Be nice to your parents. Wear your seatbelt. Drink water. And I'll see you around. My name is Lucas Lifts. It's not. My name is Lucas. Lifts isn't even my name.
But again, thank you for watching. Thanks Aldi for the rugby ball that I had to pay £7.99 for. It's actually a decent rugby ball. I quite like it. Anyway, I'm going. I'm gonna have a jacket potato with beans and cheese. No, I'm not. I'm having chips with curry on. Goodbye.